All right, so 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of an exciting episode here. This is the another episode of the Zorich podcast. And unlike our other interviews, we have some folks that are kind of associated but really kind of represent our fan base. And starting off is Jason, Chad, and Sean, who are the crew behind Legion of Leprechaun. And I think one of the things that is exciting is that they represent kind of what your average Subway alumni would loves most about the university. And the fact that they've been able to get a group of folks together and kind of bond and have fun and talk and not swear, but enjoy the camaraderie that being a Notre Dame fan is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the crew behind Legion of Leprechaun.
What's up, guys?
I just have to say, we're not worthy.
Now, give me 1 second. Let me turn this fan down right quick. Sorry about that. All right, sorry about that. All right, so here's what I'm really most excited about. I've had, folks who won national championships. I've had folks that or people who are historians about the university, but this is our first opportunity to kind of talk to or have folks who represent the average fan. And I think what's really unique about this is that, you're talking about folks of all walks of life. So you're talking about people who not only are Subway alumni, but have loved Notre Dame for years. I've talked to folks that they're 80 years old, but they have this passion for Notre Dame and they've never went there. And so the idea that I wanted to find a group that, and very easily, as opposed to interviewing, all 30 million of the folks that are Subway alumni, I wanted to find a group that really represented the folks who are not only passionate about Notre Dame, but really care about the university, but have really kind of really not only never had a chance to go, but I'm sure some of your fans have never even set foot on campus, which I think is really unique. And so having the opportunity to kind of share their story, share your story, and I know some are local, some of you guys are local, some of you guys aren't, but having the opportunity to kind of really get the sense of who the true kind of, and I don't want to say Subway, I'll just say fan of Notre Dame really is all about. So, Jason, really, I'm going to kind of start with you and kind of explain, not yet about Legion of Leprechaun, but kind of explain how you first started to care, started to have this passion about the University of Notre Dame.
Well, I'm a first generation fan. My father and my grandfather's from Alabama, and he had moved to South Bend.
I will not hold that against him.
Please don't. No, I grew up in a household in South Bend where Alabama football, Alabama University was the thing. And when I started watching Notre Dame on TV around 1984, I guess, around the Faust era. So I've been through some downs. I've been through some ups. We all can understand that. We're a little older, over 40. So, but yeah, basically those gold helmets, that golden standard is what drew me in. About 84, I started paying attention. Around roughly, I think it was about 86, Notre Dame actually traveled to Birmingham, Alabama, and they played the Tide, and they got destroyed. So my grandpa, he was almost like my father. I was really close to him, and so he would rub it in. He lived in South Bend. He was kind of a fish out of water. So, but then the following year in 87, they came to Notre Dame Stadium, the Tide did, and we dismantled them. That's the year of Timmy Brown and the last Heisman. So I had bragging rights for a long time over my grandpa. And that lasted pretty much through, until 2012, which my grandpa passed in 2005.
Okay.
And in 96, he retired and he moved back to Alabama, and he had a massive stroke. And when he had this stroke, we got worried we weren't going to have a lot of time with him. So we all packed up and went south. Well,
Wow.
I met my wife and started having kids, but Grandpa passed in 2005. And, you know, in 2012, Notre Dame started that miraculous run. We all saw it. We couldn't believe it, but it happened. So the 2012 game means a lot to me. I know we got dismantled and destroyed, but that game I had waited for 25 years.
Wow.
By halftime, I had already checked out. But it was a game that I waited for. So from the grave, from heaven, my grandpa will have eternal bragging rights against me.
Aww.
Much like him in South Bend, you know, now I'm in Alabama, he's got bragging rights on me. So that's the game I'm looking the most forward to, a victory over Bama. But
Okay.
going forward into the future with this, looking at like my fandom and how I became a fan of the Irish, it's family. It's a family rivalry that I had with my grandpa. And once this all happened in 2012, you know, living here, Alabama fans they'll just shove it down your throat constantly.
I can't even
So
imagine.
it was day after day after day of embarrassment. So how I coped was real simple. I just dug into Notre Dame's history. The history of Notre Dame football will give you a sense of pride unlike anything else if you're a true fan of the Irish.
Okay.
So I dug for a whole year. I just, you know, there was something I needed to do for a year that would get me back to a point where I had confidence and pride in my team. So as I learned the history of Notre Dame football, I decided I need to share this. And living in the South, I needed an outlet. I needed a connection to the old fans and to my home. You know, I was born and raised in South Bend. I didn't want to leave, but I did, and I did it for family reasons. So I created a private group on Facebook, and I created a fan page, but I had to name it. So I started going back in my memory and thinking about the past, and I always came back to 1986 when this rivalry with my grandpa began, and that was at Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama.
Wow.
So you have it, Legion of the Leprechaun.
That's awesome.
Appreciate
That is a great story. That's a great story. All right, Chad, how about you? So when did this affinity for the Irish start, and kind of how did you end up being part of this crew?
Okay, so my mom started working at Notre Dame when I was about 9 years old. So Notre Dame's kind of been with me for a very long time. I actually in grade school, had a tutor from Notre Dame for math, because math was kind of one of my weak points in school. So
Okay.
I had a tutor from there. So that gave me an opportunity to see campus, because I had never been to campus before I had a tutor. And I absolutely loved it. I don't know if you remember the huddle.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's where I used to go to get something to eat before I would see my tutor. I don't know if that still exists, but in the basement they had a lot of video games, a lot of arcade games.
Right.
So I used to hang out down there either before or after my tutor.
So you actually would come to campus?
Yes, I went to
Okay.
campus to be tutored. I think I might have been in fourth or fifth grade.
So like your mom or dad brought you, or you just kind of walked across the street, or?
Well, my mom works at the Morris Inn,
Right.
and so she had a lot of connections on campus. So
Okay.
she found me a tutor.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I was introduced to Notre Dame.
Gotcha.
And ever since then, it's just been a part of the family. My mom lives not even a mile and a half from campus. So usually I go park my car at my mom's house when I go to the games. So that's how I became a fan, directly through my mother.
Education. Through education.
Through education, yeah.
Math, being a math tutor. Okay, so and Sean, I'll get to you in a second. But so when was the do you remember when, as opposed to having to study math, right, in the huddle, right? But was there a time when you kind of said, wow, you know, this is a place, this is an awesome place, or this is pretty cool, or was it at a game? Or, I mean, because if you come to campus to get math tutoring, I'm not sure if that's kind of like a great, you know, excitement about being at Notre Dame, but I was just kind of curious, was there a moment for you?
I think it was just the atmosphere, actually, even when I was a kid. I mean, the campus is beautiful. So, I mean, any child's going to recognize the beauty of that campus, especially the Golden Dome. I mean, that's just something that it just sticks out to you. You know what I mean? It's there, it's engraved. Once you see it, you never forget about it. So,
True.
I mean, yeah, but I really didn't start following football until probably my late teens, early 20s. And then, long story short, I met Jason in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2016. And I actually created a shirt and asked him if, he'd be willing to promote it. And Jason basically said, no, not at this time, but I'd like to bring you on my platform. So I joined forces with Jason in 2016, and this is where we are now.
All right. Did you still have the shirt that he dissed you on? And was it did it not have the level of the Legion, or what was it?
Actually, it was okay. So back in the day,
Was it like Muck Michigan or something like that? Or?
No. It was actually just it was a concept idea of having a scary leprechaun on a shirt. And before I even knew about Legion of the Leprechaun, I actually had tried to start my own Irish page, and I called it Law of the Leprechaun.
Okay.
Without even ever knowing that Jason's page ever existed.
Oh, wow. So what was the idea behind law? I mean, what was the significance of law? LAW or?
I don't, it just sounded cool at the time, man. So I rode with it.
Okay. Hey, man. Hey, that's where we go. All right, Sean. So was there a moment? How did you get involved? And kind of how did you end up with these guys?
Sure. Well, I was fortunate enough to be raised in the Midwest, about 45 minutes from South Bend. So, I mean, football is life over here,
Where at?
Actually, I'm a Hammond kid.
Okay.
So you watched one kind of football, and it was usually, you were pretty passionate about your team. It's a Big Ten country, but I always gravitated towards Notre Dame. We watched Notre Dame games growing up. Same thing in the Faust era. We had some tough times, had some tough games, but one moment that really resonated with me when I was younger was the Catholics versus the convicts. So I was 10.
Well, when you say young, 10?
Yeah, I was 10.
Oh,
I know,
baby. Come on, man. Oh my God, I was like 20. I was like 19 or 20. Come on.
Right. Coming to town, you've got these guys. They're villains. They're getting off wearing fatigues from the plane, and there's all this talk about how they're going to come in, they're going to take over, and this is going to be their house. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I watched Notre Dame play. They're good this year. I love the Irish. Who do these guys think they are? Kind of like that. And then the pregame warm up, and they had the dust up over by the tunnel.
They did, right? Yeah, exactly.
In my mind, I'm thinking, hey, they're going to try and bully Notre Dame in their own house. Did they realize that they're in South Bend? They're not in Miami. So at the end of that game, the way it played out, the way it ended, that was storybook. That was classic. That's one of the greatest games of all time, in my humble opinion. And I was a fan before that, but that really cemented it for me. And been following them ever since. The 2012 season was absolutely incredible. It was an amazing thing to watch. It was out of nowhere. And as chance would have it, as luck would have it, I actually married a St. Mary's graduate.
Oh,
so
hello.
Right.
All right.
But I had the good fortune to attend several games while she was going to school there, and also after that with friends and family and things like that. And there's something about the campus that you can't really put into words. You have to experience it. And I mean, we all know that because we've been there.
Sure.
Certain things that certain imagery that just really resonates. Like the first time I saw the grotto at night, and
exactly.
The first time I went to mass in the basilica, the first time I laid eyes on campus in fall with all the leaves changing colors, and that beautiful walk up to the dome from Touchdown Jesus, all the camaraderie you feel. I mean, one of my favorite memories is the Notre Dame Michigan game, when the announcer was telling during the timeout, it is so loud in here, they can't get the play in.
Wow.
Michigan can't get the play in. And if you guys have been to the game, the last Michigan game against Notre Dame, I think it was 2018. They kept playing clips of that. They said, they're like, it's so loud in here, and Michigan keeps false starting. They can't get the play in because it's so loud. And then they'd show on the video screen, let's do that again. And we did. And it got so loud, Michigan false started a couple times. And it was just, it's those relatable fan experiences, the tradition, all the stories. It's amazing. It's so rich in history, and it's very relatable to people, especially if you grew up in the Midwest, where you got that football in your blood.
Sure.
You followed it all through those years, and you've got icons. You've got people that are relatable to you as well. I mean, not everyone that went to Notre Dame came from, a family of accountants or lawyers or doctors. You've got people from all backgrounds, people that worked their way there, that are true success stories, that really made Notre Dame their stepping stone to catapult them in the next 40 years of their life.
Sure.
So it's just, I can't summarize it in just one sentence. It's a number of things. It's a number of feelings and emotions. As far as Legion goes, as luck would have it, I stumbled upon the website from a suggestion of a friend. And
we were lucky we found you.
I typed a couple of posts. It was no big deal. But you know what? I was trying to capture the emotion that you get when you arrive on game day. You're about to get into a tailgate, and Michigan's in town, USC's in town, Michigan State's in town. Somebody that you're like, man, I can't wait to get in the stadium just to watch us destroy this team, and you just get fired up, and you walk in, you start hearing, here come the Irish, people chanting on the way to the stadium. And you hear a "we are," and from across the quad, ND, and you start hearing that, and you raise the hairs in the back of your neck, you walk in the stadium, and then you hear the pre-kickoff music. You hear that beautiful Irish lass singing, and there's a magic in the sound of their name. Here come the Irish, Notre Dame. Dropkick Murphys hits. Boom, boom. And you're like, oh, man. And you start getting geared up and fired up. So I was trying to capture that in a post. I know it's a lot, but I'm trying to capture that in a post. And it was funny. Jason reached out to me and said, hey, how would you like to write some more of those? And I said, when? I said, how about on the regular? And I said, well, yeah, that'd be great. So it was fortuitous the way it ended up.
So Sean, I'm assuming you're an English major. So Sean,
not at all.
How did you? Did it take a while to write that post, or was it just feeling? Did you have any edits? Was it something that you were kind of nervous about? No, I'm serious. Because what I'd like to get is kind of what, as opposed to going to school there or playing there. Obviously you were able to do something to have Jason say, "Wow, this is different." Because I'm sure you've had 1,000 people kind of write about, "Oh yeah, I went to Notre Dame and tailgated." But
yes.
Sean's post kind of may have been something that was a little different and maybe had a chance to stand out from the others. And so, what went into that post? Was it just feeling, or what was it?
The best way I can describe it to you, Chris, is I'm not going to write it just from my perspective, because I think that's kind of selfish. Is everybody going to relate to my experiences? No. I try and look at it from other perspectives too. What's the first thing that a fan feels when they walk onto campus in fall? What's the first thing a fan feels when they walk onto campus and they see the Irish Guard marching in, or the player walkover right before game time? How do people feel when they're going to the first game and they walk in and everybody's so welcoming. Everybody's, it's a family atmosphere. It's a really, really indescribable environment. If you haven't seen it firsthand, how do you explain that? How do you relate to people who want to make that trip, who want this is their lifetime trip they're going to make? How do you explain it to them? How do you tell them the sights, the sounds, everything they want to see? The other thing that I can tell you is it was kind of ingrained in me too, because when my wife and I got married, we wanted to have children. It didn't happen for a long time. And as luck would have it, I went to South Bend one night. I went to the grotto and I lit a candle and I sat and I prayed. And I prayed for a long time. Like I was there for quite a while. And a gentleman walked up to me and said, "Is everything okay? you've been here for some time. I said, I'm kind of lost in thought, and had some words of encouragement. He said, this really is a magical place. He says, I've seen things happen here that I can't quite explain. And if your heart's in the right place and your intentions are true, I've seen miraculous things come from prayer. And I'm like, well, thank you very much. Do I think much of it at the time? Not necessarily, but I walk away, get in my car, leave. A week later, I'm working, and my wife calls me, and I'm working a midnight shift, and she says, can you talk? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm a little busy, but what's up? And she says, well, I'm pregnant. And I just hits me with this bombshell.
I got the chills, man.
Right.
I got the chills.
I run over.
It's amazing.
I grab one of my coworkers who happens to be this 300-pound Italian guy with a raspy voice. He should have been in the mobster movie. I go, my wife's pregnant. She goes, put me down. And I was just overjoyed. And, does it seem a little cheesy to say maybe the prayer had something to do with it? Perhaps, but, that's not for anyone else to believe but me. So trying to capture all of that and bottle it up and package it into something relatable that everyone can read and be interested in. That's how I try to do it.
Yeah, I've never known anybody that can spin it the way you do. You might give us 4 or 5 lines, but those 4 or 5 lines stick with you.
And so again, Sean, were you an English major at one point, or did you want to write? I mean, how did that happen?
This might get me in some trouble here. It's funny. So my aunt, my uncle, and my 2 cousins on my dad's side, all English majors. Go ahead, throw out a guess. Where do you think they graduated from?
Our Lady.
IU.
Oh, okay.
So I have to make fun of IU, and every chance I get, And I wrote a little bit, coming out of high school and college, things like that. But it was kind of private. It was something that I did just as a hobby, and through just life being what it is, it kind of fell off after a while. I didn't have the inspiration, so to speak. And when my wife and I started a family, when you're truly in love, you're happy in your place in life, everything's going well, then it's easy. You've got plenty of things to write about. And then when I stumbled onto Legion, it was even easier. I love Notre Dame football, the family concept that we embrace, and that we make sure to, share with our fans. That's something that you don't get with with almost any other site that I've ever been on. We try to treat each other like, we are family here. So it made it really easy for creative juices to flow, and, no shortage of things to write.
No, that's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, we're with the Legion of Leprechaun. We got Chad, Jason, and Sean. Sean, thank you very much. That was a good story. Chad, kind of share with us maybe a moment, maybe it was a game. Obviously having a chance to have to do homework there. As a young kid, was there a game for you that kind of made you fall in love with the place, or was it just kind of a progressive as you kind of got better and better in math that you were able to kind of, lead away from a place? But do you remember, was there a special game for you? I know Sean talked about the Michigan game. Was it something for you that kind of, or basically, what was your favorite game, and kind of tell us about that experience for you?
Okay, so, of course, the campus has been engraved in my brain for a long time. So I didn't really start, like I said, following Notre Dame until probably I was about 19, 20. I remember one specific game that really stands out, and it was when Brady Quinn was quarterback. I can't remember the year, but it was when we played Michigan State, and it came down to the last, I don't want to say 45 seconds, 60 seconds. I can't remember
what he's talking about.
What game was it?
Help him out. Help him out.
You know what
game was it?
Chad, we're going right back to you. Okay. I'm going to tell you when it was, because it was the week after we played Michigan. And I'm going to tell you why, because like a jerk, we got married the week of the Notre Dame Michigan game, and I never lived it down. Trust me. Hey, you know what? This got scheduled a year and a half before the schedule for the year. So it was 2006. The 2006 schedule wasn't even out yet. So we put the flyers out, the invites out, and then the schedule hits, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to go into hiding. There's no way. I instantly get phone calls, emails. What's wrong with you? Why do you hate Notre Dame? Why do you? And I'm like, guys, I'm blaming my wife. You know? So it was 2006.
Okay.
And it was September 16th, 2006 was the Michigan game. So it would have been September 23rd, 2006, when Notre Dame was down 17 points with like 5 minutes left in the third quarter. And I know this because we're coming off the airplane after our honeymoon coming back. And we had a ride from the airport back to our house. And I told our driver, I'm like, hey, can you put the Notre Dame game on? And he's like, I don't think you're going to want to watch it. And I'm like, why is that? He's like, Michigan State's rolling them. I'm like, put the game on. He puts the game on. And my wife knows that I don't like watching us lose. And I see we're down big. And she's like, why don't you just turn it off? And I'm like, they're going to come back. Don't worry about it. They're going to come back.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
He's like, they're down 17. I go, put the privacy window up. And there's no tip for you if you make another comment. You believe, or I'm going to get another ride. So he puts the privacy glass up, and we start slowly coming back. And it was Brady Quinn engineering the comeback. But back to you, Chad. That's when it was though.
No, but yeah, I was sitting in my uncle's house, an apartment off of Hickory. I think it was Hickory Village, and there was probably about 8 or 10 of us, and everybody was defeated. Like the last few minutes of the game, everybody was defeated. I was the only one that said, you guys calm down. They're going to come back. They're going to win this game. There's no way. It's not happening. I said, dude, calm down. I'm telling you, they're going to come back and they're going to win the game. Come down to the last few seconds. Notre Dame takes the lead, wins the game, and the entire apartment basically picked me up, and my head hit the ceiling.
Booty.
That's a long way.
Right, exactly.
My head hit the ceiling. I was like, y'all put me down, and they're just like picking me up, throwing me around. Oh my God, I can't believe it. He called it. This dude had so much faith. I can't believe it. And that was one of the games that sticks out for me the most. Another one would be my son and I went to the Michigan game where it was that conspiracy between, what was it, 37 to 31 or
the interception return at the end didn't count.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that game I'll never forget that game. That was
the first one after the hiatus, right? Was that 2014?
I believe so.
Yes.
How old was your son at the time?
Let's see, he's 19. He was about 14, 13, 14.
So did he just go nuts? I mean, were you guys just like freaking out? Or?
Oh yeah. He went nuts. He was going nuts. Everybody around us was going nuts.
And while Chad was crowd surfing, there's no ceiling here.
Right. Exactly.
Being passed around like a brat outside the stadium.
Was that a moment for your son too, when he kind of got excited about Notre Dame, or had he been a fan before? Or?
He had kind of been a fan. He followed him. He's a big Kentucky fan.
Okay. Wow. They have football in Kentucky? They're really bad colors too. I mean,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
If I'd have known that, I'd have had a talk with him the last time I saw him.
All right, Jason. I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chad.
Oh no, I was just gonna say those are like the most memorable games that stick out in my head.
And really, I mean, that's what I love hearing about, right? The passion, or the kind of an incident, hundreds of games. I mean, Sean's throwing out times and everything else, but the idea that people care so much about it, and they have these life, not changing, but these life memorable experiences that make that special. And so that's why I'm kind of like, I'm kind of on the other side of it, quote unquote, kind of creating those experiences. So my experiences are different than what the fans see, but it's so fascinating to kind of hear different stories about like every game. Like, oh yeah, Chris, do you remember the '89 Navy game? And I'm like, oh, but they have a moment where it was maybe not pitiful or pivotal in their life, but they can kind of call the score, what happened, and hey, I asked my girlfriend to marry me or something like that. It's just one of those situations where, because there's so much passion and excitement about Notre Dame football, then, I mean, you have all these great, phenomenal stories. So, Jason, was it kind of the rivalry, or do you have a game outside of the Alabama 2012 game, or is it something that kind of, was there one game that you have mentioned before that kind of got you hooked, or?
Well, really what got me hooked, if I really honestly stop and think about it, was '88 Miami. I mean, I obviously had the rivalry with my grandpa, you know, that
Right.
goes way back. But I had lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico for about 6 years when I was younger. So, and if you remember back then on TV, you only got the local games.
Yeah.
So when we moved, it was like I was stripped of that. So then when I got back when I was 11, you know, that magical '88 season happened. And I just remember being out in my front yard. You know, the game obviously began with, you know, the infamous tunnel push and the fight and all that happened. But I remember being out in my front yard. I'm the oldest of 3 brothers. And I remember we used to go out front and play football, and we could hear the speaker at the stadium. You know, I've obviously heard your name called many times. So for me, the '88 game against Miami, coming back home and being just knowing that we won that game with all the stakes as high as they were, with good versus evil, basically, is what it boiled down to. When we won that game, I was dead set. That was it for me. So moving forward, I've never relinquished. It's just that game to me stands out the most. I remember I was 11 years old. I'll never forget it. But I have a question for you, Mr. Zorich.
Uh-oh.
During the infamous beginning, do you believe that tunnel push, do you believe the fight is what won the game?
Of course, I'm a little partial. You know, I mean, first of all,
of course.
All right. Well, here it's from our perspective, right? So, as Sean, as you mentioned, kind of like, you know, this was our house, and we were young, right? So I was a sophomore, and we had a lot of sophomore starters, right? And so a lot of us were recruited by Miami. We had a lot of guys on the team who were from Florida, who not only was being recruited by Miami, but made a choice not to go to Miami and come to Notre Dame. And so the idea of kind of the path, you know, we had no knowledge of what happened before. Now there was that year was a great year because we had a lot of folks who were older who remember getting the crap beat out of them from Miami, you know? Yep. So it was one of those situations where Holtz did a great job in mixing us up. But for us, it was kind of one of those things where we went into it knowing that this was just a regular game for us. But as it transpired through the game, you know, it was kind of like, you know, and we knew that we belonged there. I'm not sure everybody on the team knew, but a lot of the younger guys knew because we were knuckleheads, right? We didn't know any better. We didn't suffer a 58 to whatever loss. Sean, do you remember that? Do you remember the score? I don't remember.
That was that was about it. Wasn't it 58 or 57? It was bad. That was a tough one.
If anybody knows the score, do not drop it in the comment section.
We don't need painful memories. Yeah.
but it was one of those situations where, you know, we didn't know any better. And so we just kind of did what we knew, which was, you know, hey, be aggressive, great football. And I don't know if you guys remember, we actually had a fight before the Michigan game as well. Yep. Right. So we're kind of this young group of knucklehead, kind of aggressive guys. And then all of a sudden they kind of ran through our calisthenics. And really that's kind of what started it. And so to answer your question, you know, that was a moment for us. But the biggest moment was in the line. I'm sure you guys have heard the story 1,000 times, but it was in the locker room. And I don't even remember what Coach Holtz said before. But, you know, when he uttered the, you know, you saved Jimmy Johnson's ass for me, like everybody went nuts. And I'm surprised he didn't get like knocked over as we were kind of running out of the locker room, right? But it was the start of kind of, I mean, who Notre Dame really was at that time, right? And this is kind of a good segue. Thank you, Jason. I want to talk about your logo because, I mean, when we see the logo or the Irishman for Notre Dame, you know, it's the old school, exactly. But I mean, can you talk to us about kind of who came up with the logo and really the style? Because this is not your regular Leprechaun, right? This is not some guy who's like, hey, let's fight. I mean, this is some dude who's like, I got some evil in me, and if you got to be careful when you mess with me. And so, like, I've always been fascinated by that logo. So, can you tell us a little bit about how it started?
Well, if you look at like Legion as a whole, we're a family, obviously. That's the main theme what we have. We protect our house. And to protect your house and to protect your family, sometimes you have to go there. You have to take it to a level that you never would have imagined you'd go to. And just having that face with the energy that he projects to us, that feels like he's the protector of our house. But all credit goes to the man below me in my screen. He's the one who came up with it, and he's the one who designed it. Without that, our identity would be vastly different than it is right now. So all
Chad,
credit goes to Chad.
Okay, so apparently this was better than the first T-shirt you produced for Jason.
Well, I don't know about that, but
Jason, come on, man.
The face actually originated from a tattoo that I tried to reach out to find the original author of, and I couldn't find him. And I kind of manipulated it so that it didn't, it wasn't like a copy,
sure,
but I wanted to alter it to the point where it didn't, look like the same image as the tattoo as that I found. And I just started to tweak with the colors, and it kind of started to fall into place. The gold, the white teeth, the green shamrock, it just all fell into place. That's really how that came about. I worked on it for probably about 2 or 3 months, and decided that this looks really cool. Ran it by Jason. Jason liked it, and we've just kind of ran with it since then.
No, it's awesome. It's like he has this shit-eating grin. It's like, dude, you can't mess with us, man. Which is great, right? Because we've been used to this kind of old school Jason, the one you have in your hat. But I mean, this is kind of I love it. I kind of wish that the university would adopt kind of that logo. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, we're an adoption home. We need adopted.
Can I throw something out there about the logo, since you mentioned it real quick?
Please.
When I looked at the logo, first thing that popped in my mind was that's an Irishman from the south side of Chicago that had to walk by all the closed bars, then had to walk through Tallahassee, then had to walk through Southern Cal to get to Ann Arbor to play Michigan in the middle of a snowstorm. He's beyond pissed. He's beyond pissed. But he's like, he sees his target and he's like, okay, let's go. I mean, it's a really cool spin, and the concept behind it, as Jason and Chad explained, I mean, that kind of captures it. And it's something that I think the team we've been missing in certain years. That player with an edge.
Yep.
Not Legion team, but
no. Right.
Gotcha,
yes.
Gotcha.
So you need 1, 2, 3 guys, like you said, maybe didn't quite know the enormity of the situation, maybe a little knuckleheadish stuff like, but they weren't going to play around, and they weren't going to let anybody push them around. And when you have guys like that with incredible talent and good chemistry and pretty good coach, great things can happen.
All right, so you talk about the team, when you talk about the logo, Jason, can you kind of share with us? I know Legion is just not you 3 guys. Can you kind of talk about the rest of your team and
sure.
Maybe some folks?
I'd be honored. I've actually been looking forward to this the most out of all the questions. Chad obviously is my right-hand man, and he's the tech support. His vision. When I first started Legion, I was a little more free with what I allowed people to say and do, because I really didn't have like everything set up in place moving forward. And then when Chad presented his idea to me, we just kind of ran with it. So Chad, you're my right-hand man. You're like my brother, and I couldn't do this without you. And then obviously the other man on the screen, Buck, he's like the inspiring voice of Legion. He's our main writer. His voice deserves to be on NBC. Anything we put his voice to is magic.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Nice.
I have to give a shout out to Ben Elijah.
Okay.
Ben, you take you and put you
okay.
on our business cards and present you to the world. looking at your situation and how you interact with us on a daily basis, Ben is like the most dedicated person you ever find in your life. He's there for you every single moment you need him. So Ben, I wish he'd have been on this interview, but he couldn't be here, so he would have been the next choice. And then then I got to give a shout out to the teddy bear, Kelvin Patrick Sartain. He is the most beloved person on our management team. Kelvin is there for you when you need him, no matter what. He's seen me through some dark times in my personal life, and he's always been there for us. He'll never tell you no. He'll do whatever you need him to do. And then there's Kevin Roman. He's kind of like our scout. He'll go after people and invite them to the page. He's got a lot of little duties, but whenever something's going on in the world and it's going to affect us as a whole, as a team, he's always that fiery inspiration. He'll throw himself out there and he'll say things that most people would normally not say. And I have a lot of respect for him. And then there's Alan Ferner. He's like another fiery person, but yet he's a no-nonsense rock of reason. That's the best way I can describe him. He is there and he'll tell you like it is, whether you want to hear the truth or not. So he's kind of like our sheriff. You get what I'm saying here? And then there's Martin. Martin's fairly new to the team. But Martin is amazing. Martin will throw ideas out there, and he'll let them bounce off of you. And if you try to change or tweak his ideas, he doesn't take it personal. So Martin is a communicator, and that's what I love about Martin. When he joined the team, it added a whole new dimension to what we're trying to do. And then I have to give a shout-out to the rest. There's 25 of us, so I can't sit here and go on all night. Every one of these people have an amazing attribute that has allowed them to function within our group and allowed them to function within our team, and there's been no nonsense. From Dan Williams. Dan's been with me from the very beginning, but Dan had to step away, but Dan's still a member, and he's still a part of what we do. He'll still make decisions and help me, when I need advice. And then there's Kyle Reynolds. Kyle's former military. Kyle's always got the point of view where, if you'll do what you need to do, you'll get results. And then there's Russ. Russ, I love you, man. Stay strong. Russ is another former military. Russ actually hosted a tailgate for us out west, and I'll be in debt for him for a long time for that. And then there's Michael Schaffner. He doesn't say a whole lot, but when he does, you listen. That's the difference with him. And then there's Steve Mullen, Mike Duca, Christina Kelly. Christina, thank you for the tailgate you hosted. And then there's Michael Hoyne. His son he's golden to us. We love that man's child. He'll forever be in my heart with us. Like that kid, I just love him, man. And then there's Ken Leedy. Ken is actually a huge fan of yours, Chris. And I'm giving him a shout out right now. So
what's up, Ken?
If Ken's got a question in the comment section, answer it.
All right, and then fair enough.
Corey Manning. Corey is a part of the team, but Corey, when he come to me, Corey showed himself as one of the most inspiring fans that we've had. Like Corey loves what we do. Corey is fully invested in everything that we do, and he's always supportive. Like anytime something may be going wrong or we might see a situation come up where like we're going to lose this game, we pretty much know it, so we go into damage control mode. Corey's like, be positive. He's a lot like Chad in that department. Chad has always projected himself as a positive person, and then that persona that he has is what turned Legion into what it is. And then I have to go to some others. We got Karen. Karen, she has been there since the beginning. She'll do her part, and she'll always check in on you and make sure you're okay. And we got James Kubiak. James, I was so glad to meet you at our last tailgate. That man can spin a football. I don't care what anybody says. I thought I had a good arm, but James, you got it. And then there's David Summers. David's fairly new. We haven't really got a chance to speak and talk much, but David's there. He's always present. And then we got Sean Crawford. He made us breakfast, and I'll forever be indebted for those pancakes, bro. And then my cousin Chris. Chris is our official tattoo artist. Obviously I've known Chris my whole life. I love you, Chris. And then John Matera. John, I am indebted to you for our union and what you've provided for us with your photography. You're a good person, John. You're always there for us, just like the rest of these people. And without every single person on this list, we could not function and do what we do. Our group is amazing, not only for the fans that we have collected, and we've all taken the time to sift through and accept based on certain criteria. Obviously, we have a lot of rules to get in Legion. When you get inside, you may not like what we do, We have to keep a positive atmosphere, but the people I just listed right here uphold every single value that we have, and they're like family. They're not my friends, they're my family. And that's my team. And I couldn't do it without each and every single one of them.
All right, so this is going to be a hard task, and this is kind of what I wanted to get at. Like, so can you sum up, kind of you named, I mean, Ben, Calvin, I mean, there's a ton of people you named, right? But I mean, what's different? What makes them want to be part of Legion? But more importantly, what made you say, "Hey, you're part of this team"? I mean, is it the love of Notre Dame? Did they have to? You know,
it's six. Honestly, it's 6 years worth of watching them in the group.
Okay.
Because I've been doing. This is our 6th year. We celebrated our 5th year anniversary last year. But
nice.
throughout the course of time, when I first started this, you know, you'll have people that'll be completely dedicated to what you're doing, and you pay attention to that. They reach out to me, like if I have a problem in my normal life, and they see that, they reach out to me, and they're all like, "I'm going to donate my free time to do this," because nobody gets paid. It's all donated time. It's because they love it. And when you have people in your corner that do that, it's invaluable. And every one of them has expressed that throughout the course of time. And it's really easy to notice it. I mean, it's just obvious. And I couldn't do it without them. I love each and every single one of them. I may not say it enough, and I may not have the opportunity to know them all personally. And hopefully, eventually, at some point through our tailgates, I can meet every single one of them. So, but I just want you guys to all know I love you, and everything that we do, it couldn't be done without you guys, because it's a tremendous amount of work.
Amen.
With the content that we put out throughout the course of a season, especially in our private group, from our game day threads to post management, every post that drops in our group has to be policed, the comment section, and every post that gets submitted has to be approved. Every member request that comes in has to be reviewed. You have to go to their Facebook. You have to make sure they're not a bot. You have to actually look and see if they're an Irish fan. Thank you.
No
so it's a tremendous amount of work, and it's all donated time. But then if you'll look at the time that they spend on a personal level that has nothing to do with Legion, I'm answering messages all day long, but it doesn't bother me that I'm busy, because I know that each person that reaches out to me loves what we do, and they have a lot of respect for me. And in turn, that respect goes back to them. It's the only way I can describe this. It's unreal. I've never felt so much love. And starting Legion based on family like I did, and the ability to share how I felt about Notre Dame, it caught fire. It just caught fire. And like everybody that's there now, I have no doubt that every single one of them will go to bat for us when we need it.
That is awesome. So, all right. So Chad, can you kind of explain kind of what being part of the Legion is? I mean, there's just kind of the regular fan, and then Jason kind of mentioned the private group. Can you kind of explain to our audience, like, I mean, what's what, how to get into the certain level? I mean, is there a bonus? Hey, I get to talk with Jason, or I get to talk with you guys. I mean, how does that work?
So are you talking about like the difference between our public page and our private page?
Yes.
Okay. So the difference between those two pages is our public page is more or less our like title cover to our book, so to speak. And then our private group is like, all the pages and the chapters and the content in between, the front cover and the back cover.
Our private group is fan driven. Most of what content is in there is all from the fans.
Correct.
That's the biggest thing. That's what's special about it, because they actually provide the content in that group.
So I read some of the stories. Is that where I'm not sure where I look, but some of those stories, man, some of the posts, is that from the private group, or is it from the main page?
Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like when we make something on the main page, sometimes I'll do something exclusive just for the private group, and that won't hit any of our other sites. And so when we have something that we think will be universally loved, we'll cross share. So, and we have people in positions to be able to cross share our content from one to the other. I don't have to do all that. So that's what makes it special. It's fan driven in the group. Everybody that submits posts, obviously we have to go through it. We have rules, but if you catch on to what we're saying, and if you believe in what we believe in, then most of the time we'll give you free reign to post what you want. We don't have to police certain people. So it's fan driven. What we do on the main page versus the private group, it's two separate things, but really it's one and the same. Like Chad said, it's just the title cover to our book. And the guts of the book, the good part, is in the group.
Gotcha.
Can I throw one thing? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Chris.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was actually going to go to you anyway.
Oh, okay.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one thing I was going to throw out, because you were talking about the difference between the fan page and the members page. The members only page, to me, on, newer to this than Jason and Chad, it's something that's earned. It's something that you kind of put some time in. You've shown that you're going to be around. You're going to post. You want to be involved. You want to interact. It's an earned thing. And our fan base, that's our spotlight. We like to give back. That's what drives the page. That's what drives this whole platform. And it's almost like Joe Theismann said, there's a way you can find to bottle the Notre Dame spirit. You'd find a way to light the universe. That's how we feel about our fans.
Exactly.
Our fans drive the page, and our fans help illuminate the ideals and the content on the page.
All right, Sean. So there's other fan sites out there. I mean, what makes Legion different than? What's already out there? Obviously, having just kind of listening to you guys. There's this unbelievable passion. But what makes you guys different than another group of guys who have the same passion? And I'm not saying that those groups are bad. What's the difference?
We've been really blessed, as I said, with our fan base. And I think the biggest difference is we're not going to post just about athletics. We're not going to post just about, what's going on, pop culture type things. We want to post content that's relatable, but we want to be able to interact with everybody that's on the page. What good is it for me to talk about the hockey game if you've got like a really good human interest piece from our fans that's relatable to Notre Dame that everybody can kind of get around, and embrace. We like to give back to our fans. The tailgates that we've had, that'd have to be another Zoom meeting. There's so much. There's so much to talk about there.
Yeah,
but I think
our giveaways.
Right.
There's a lot.
We like
prayer requests.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do this also.
And it's
every day I'll
incredible.
get somebody that'll send me a message, hey, I have somebody in my life that's struggling. Can you help us out? So I'll put together a post about a prayer request.
Wow.
Anybody on our team that's going through like a struggle, if they reach out, I believe in the power of prayer. That's the biggest thing. I may not be the most religious person. I may not attend church like I'm supposed to, but my faith is very strong. And that's one of the main ties I have to Notre Dame. And by allowing this massive group of people that we've collected that have the same belief system, when you put a post out there that's, states, hey, I just need a prayer. I don't even have to give them a name. There may be 200, 300, 400 comments in that one chain within a day's time that person that's hurting can go read and look at and see and know that all
Dude,
these
I got the
people,
chills, man. I don't know if you can see it, but
it's
I
a
got the
daily
chills, man. That's crazy.
I believe it. I've got them right now too, and it's a daily thing. That's why this is so addicting. This is why if I could do this for the rest of my life full time, I would. This right here.
What
Yeah,
he's
go
talking
ahead.
about, it's not even just the initial post. There's follow-up. A day, a week, 2 weeks later. Hey, how you doing? How are things? What can we do to help? And it's not just in the post in the forum or on the main page or the private page. We reach out on Messenger, and it's not to say, look what we're doing. We don't believe in that. It's because there is that interaction. There is that connection. And by having those connections, those personal connections, and really showing that you care about each other above and beyond just what kind of shirt you're wearing, I think that helps embody some of the ideals and the spirit that you see on the Notre Dame campus on a daily basis.
Yep. Exactly.
So I don't know who's better to kind of answer this question, if it's Jason, Chad, or even Sean. What can you sum up? What's the mission of Legion? But kind of going beyond. I wouldn't expect like having a prayer request. I think that goes beyond like X's and O's. It goes beyond. It's like, oh, I think we should get a new football coach. I mean, that goes beyond that. I mean, like, I'm amazed. I mean, so kind of give me an understanding of what your mission is, but also kind of taking in like that aspect too. I mean, this is, I mean, you know, I just thought it was like, oh, some guys talking crap about, you know, who won or who lost. You know, I'm talking about folks, you know, reaching out because they need some inspiration.
We want to create discussion in the Legion platform, and the discussion we want to make sure stays civil, stays, you know, very positive.
Family oriented.
Yes.
And respectful.
Yeah. If you have an opinion, you can state your opinion as long as you're backing your opinion up and not just spitting out some blatant words that, you know, you're just trying to get the rest of the group to react to. We don't want people, we're not looking for people who are wanting people to react to their posts. We want people who are wanting to be proactive to their posts.
We're going against the grain. Most of social media, you know, clickbait, it's all negative. They want to just throw out all the negative, and that'll draw in people, that'll draw in money. For us, it's not about that. We're going completely against that. You know, it's complete opposite of that. And we've taken a lot of flack from new members who will join. You know, we have questions that they answer when they come in and say, yes, I agree to these rules. But, you know, a lot of people will overlook that just to come in. Right. And then when they get in there and they feel like they need to instigate an argument, and they'll throw out a bunch of banter that will instigate people to fire back. I mean, we're policing every thread, and our members finally, they comprehend and understand that they also are part of the team. It's not just us 25 who do the job behind the scenes. It's everybody, because we're a family.
Yeah,
and inside, and yes, and inside your family, like if you're sitting at the dinner table and you're discussing the day with your children and your wife, I mean, are you going to come in there with an attitude that's going to instigate an argument? No, you're going to come in there with a positive outlook. It's just, you've got to come into Legion with an aspect in your brain that's going to tell you, what can you provide positive to this? What are you giving to Legion? Are you taking from it, or are you giving to it? Because we're all giving to Legion. We're all giving our free time. So when you come in, will you give something to us positive that we can look at and build upon? That's our mission. Our mission is to uphold Notre Dame's beliefs and standards. Number one, that's the number one thing. We want to be as respectful to that university as we possibly can, because all this is founded upon our love for her.
Sure.
And so the next step going forward, when you join our family, do you want to be positive, and do you want to gain something from this, or do you want to take from it? It's really simple.
Wow, that's awesome. We got Chad, Jason, and Sean from Legion of Leprechaun. Legion of Leprechaun, sorry. So, man, I don't even know how to ask. Like the excitement that, I mean, goes into, and it's not just football Saturdays, but I mean, obviously throughout the year you got prayer requests and everything. I mean, what's the future of what you guys are trying to do? Are you guys trying to take it, and I don't want to say next level, I mean, I don't even know what that is, but the idea that, I mean, you guys are answering prayer requests. I don't even know if I mean, that's kind of cool in itself, but I mean, where do you see yourself? Where do you see Legion in 5 years?
Well, in 5 years, honestly, I want a physical establishment. That's the next step of our evolution. Obviously, we have an establishment, you know, online. Everybody can come and be a part of our family. But we want a place that is a destination. If you're under our flag, if you're under our beliefs, and you stand with us in what we're trying to do and accomplish, we want a physical establishment that is like another destination in South Bend or Mishawaka and somewhere in the Michiana area that you can come to as a member and be with like-minded people under the flag of Legion, but still under the belief of Our Lady. That's the number one evolutionary next step for us, is a physical establishment.
A summer cottage.
There you go. And I'm sure Sean's looking, believe me. So we got a ton of questions. One I thought was pretty awesome. Where could we get a t-shirt or a flag or something like that?
Okay, so our t-shirts, we have a Teespring store. We currently are using Teespring for our manufacturer. That is, if you just go to teespring.com and type in Legion of the Leprechaun in the search bar. It will, it'll take you right to that. For the flags, our flags are on a Facebook page called Legion Club Apparel. So on Facebook, you just need to search Legion Club Apparel inside the search bar, and it'll take you right to it. The reason why we do those things is because I'm personally shipping the flags, but our merchandise is coming from a print on demand service. And the reason why that we do that is because all of us work 10 hours a day. All of us got families.
Exactly.
I mean, I won't be right now in this point in time. I won't be able to keep up with, shipping shirts.
Well, you can't get inventory. I mean, you can't,
I
just a couple boxes in your basement. I mean, that's tough, man. Come on.
I'm just being, straight up honest. I can't do that. Flags and license plates right now fits my schedule. I'm hoping to maybe tweak some things at work to where I have a couple extra hours a day. So things may be changing pretty soon with the Legion platform and our merchandise. But as far as right now, Teespring.
For shirts, Teespring for shirts, and then Facebook for the flags.
Correct, which is Legion Club Apparel.
Okay, and then, excuse my ignorance, for the shirts, I mean, does it have that badass leprechaun, or please don't tell me it's like a little polo or something like that. Is it like front and center? I mean, is it huge or what?
Yeah, so there was one of our specific fans called it a logo from armpit to armpit.
Nice. Okay. All right. There you go.
But the reason why we have it armpit to armpit is because we're trying to be bold. We're trying to be.
I like it.
We want people to see our brand. We don't want to have a little itty bitty thing right here and nobody see it. So I mean that's
uncompromising.
That's just the way it is. We want people to see this logo.
And I mean that's obvious. I mean it's a great logo, and this kind of freaked me out when I saw it. But some fan, I forgot his name. I apologize about this, but if he's listening, I feel terrible. But he has a tattoo of me on his forearm. Have you guys encountered anyone that tattooed your guy's face anywhere?
Yep.
Yeah, we've had a few.
Nice. I mean, seriously. I mean, that is like the ultimate kind of honor, isn't it? I mean, because you're talking about for life, right? I mean, I'm saying it's kick ass, man. I love that. I love it. I love the leprechaun, man. It's awesome.
It does feel pretty good. I remember the first time that actually Jason spotted the first tattoo of the leprechaun face, our logo, and he sent me a message, and I looked at it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy got this logo tattooed on his body. Just went into immediate that's really cool. I can't believe it. That's awesome. It's a great
flattering
feeling. Yeah, it is. It's a great feeling.
Hey, can I give a quick demonstration of the shirt that he's talking about?
Please, yeah, absolutely.
I happen to have a T-shirt and it
nice.
has the logo on the
Even
back.
Better.
Of it. So,
see, here we go. Here we go.
Close your eyes, children.
See, there you go.
And the other side, you've got, of course, Legion and the.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
It's
that's awesome. I'm hoping they come in double XL, right?
Sure.
Yes, okay. I got those notes written down, Chris. I got you covered, buddy.
Thank you very much. I haven't lost too much weight, but thank you. So I'm hopefully the individual that you saw with the tattoo, do they get like some type of honorary membership? Or, I mean, do they just kind of walk in bold and like, hey, come on, Jason, what up? I mean,
that guy gets a sofa in the house probably. He can raid the fridge. We'll give him first chance at it.
His face will definitely be on the wall in the pub.
Right.
I promise you.
Fair enough. Okay, so I mean, we're kind of winding. Dude, I feel like I'm like just hanging out with my guys, man. This is awesome, man. We're kind of winding down a little bit, but so I've heard about these legendary tailgates, and I mean, I obviously want to be part of it. I mean, this is awesome. As long as I get a shirt, though. I mean, if I can get a shirt, then I'm
not
in.
a problem.
But please talk to us kind of how that started and kind of what you see going forward. And I know it's kind of crazy with COVID and stuff like that. We're not even sure how many people are going to be in the stands at Notre Dame, let alone tailgating. So if you can just kind of share with us kind of how it started and kind of all the excitement around that.
Chad can speak on that more than me, but I'll start off by saying it's about giving back.
Okay.
That's mainly the whole point in it is the brethren of people coming together and just being together, spending that time together as a family and giving back to them. You know, the merchandise is there to buy, to represent our club, to show people that you're a part of it. But that money goes back into everybody else. So it's not like, you know, we're trying to rip anybody off. We're giving back. You know, we're giving you what you give us, and that's love. And Chad, he can speak more on how the tailgating began, because I've only actually been to one because I live so far away. And it was amazing. It was an amazing experience I'll never forget. But Chad can speak on that a whole lot more than I can.
Well, the tailgating, I think, originally started from Sean Crawford. I remember Sean Crawford reaching out to me and asking me what our plans are for tailgating, and I really didn't have any. But he wanted to kind of take initiative and host one. So we allowed him to do that, and we allowed a couple of other of our administration team to do that. Kevin Roman, Christina Kelly. We had a few others there. It was actually just kind of it's just something that flourished out of nowhere. I mean, it was one day, it was just a question, and then 3 days later, we're planning for a tailgate with members, our administration team, and that's just kind of how it all began. I mean, it was really none of this was ever intended. The merchandise was never intended. The tailgates were never intended. I mean, none of this, it all kind of flourished from the members requesting things and bringing ideas to the table. So, I mean, honestly, I can't take any credit for the tailgates. They just blossomed out of nowhere, man.
Yep.
That's awesome, man.
When your house is built on a solid foundation, things just bloom from it. That's the only way we can describe it, really, honestly.
It really took off once it started to get. Once it was put on the page and people saw, you're really having this? When are you doing? Are you serious? It just, I mean, traction was immediate, and a lot of people were really, really interested. The one we had last year for USC, that was pretty epic.
I wish I could go back to that day, man. I wish I could go back.
There were some Southern Cal people that were walking by the tailgate that saw us, and I think they just turned around and walked back to their vehicle and got on a flight back to California. It was a good time.
It might have been the sledgehammer and the USC helmet.
No comment.
Okay. All right, so we got sledgehammers, we got opponents' helmets. That's awesome. Yeah. So I mean, is it something? I mean, are you guys putting it on, or I mean, do part of Legion, do they come out and supply food? I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, so everybody kind of just participated. I mean, we had a couple of guys, of course, Sean Buck did our last tailgate and made like 40 pounds of pulled pork, and I don't know, we had like 100 burgers and 100 brats, but other members came in and they brought all kinds of stuff. They brought, food and beverages.
All right, so Chad, hold on. I got one question. Does Sean allow other people on the grill, or is he one of those guys who? Okay.
I'll put it this way. No, I love to have people help out and contribute. And I'm never going to be like, oh, I can do this and you can't. As far as the pulled pork and barbecue stuff like that, that's something I like to do, dabble in my own time. And when we came up with a possible tailgate for USC, I said, well, guys, what do you want to do? And they're like, we can do hot dogs, we can do burgers. I said, that sounds great. Let me throw a curveball at you. How'd you guys like some smoked barbecue? And they're like, you can do that? And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I can. How much do you want? They're like, well, what can you do? I'm like, about 40 pounds of it. And they're like, that's a lot. And I'm like, yeah, that should be enough. Why don't we do that? So I threw 4 10-pound bone-in pork butts in the smoker the night before, and they were ready to come out at about 7 a.m. I wrapped them, put them in coolers. We brought them out there and pulled it out on site, put them in broaster pans, and kept them warm. So we did that. We did 100 burgers, 100 brats. We had sides, we had veggies, stuff like that. But I mean, the main point behind this is it's not look at what we do. It's look what we're trying to embrace here. Look what we're trying to put out there. We want you to know that this isn't about any singular person. This is about giving back to the fans. It's about, a family atmosphere. We want you to come in and feel welcome. We want you to think that, I mean, is there colorful language? Sure. But we're not going to do that like around kids and stuff like that. We're going to walk over here to the cornhole boards and we'll have a couple of drinks and we'll talk, and we'll have stories about Notre Dame football and our unique experiences about Notre Dame. Talk Legion, so there was a lot of fan interaction. There were giveaways, some T-shirts, some flags. Chris, we're going to make you a flag that's going to be big enough you can wear as a cape.
That's even better. Remember, XXL.
I want a picture of you on one side and the Leprechaun, our Leprechaun logo on the other side.
Hey man, be careful. I only have one tattoo now, but be careful, man. I might get that on my other forearm. I don't know. I mean, are you guys located like in one of the fields or parking lot? I mean, it sounds like you guys got a big thing going on. Like, where do you get when you have them? Where do you have them?
We like to stick towards Whitefield.
Okay.
The reason being is that we try to be family oriented. Of course, out front of the stadium, it's a little crazy out there. You know what I mean? We want people that come to our tailgates to feel comfortable and not have to worry about, a mass crowd or losing a child or, anything of that matter. So it's easier to engage with fans out at Whitefield than it would be in front of the stadium.
A little more green space.
Yeah.
True.
So
and obviously you guys need it. That's awesome.
But one of the best things about our tailgates is the fact that we get to Legion, the administrators and members, they all get an opportunity to put faces to names.
Yes.
That when somebody shows up and they say, "Hi, I'm, so-and-so," and you're like, you automatically know who they are. You're like,
Wow.
"Oh, hey, what's up?" You give them a hug and
Yes.
shake their hand and, "Hey, you want something to drink?" And we start chit chatting, and it's like every 5 minutes somebody shows up. "Hey, who are you?" And everybody's got names to faces, and it really is an amazing experience. It really is to unite online fans in person through the Legion platform. It's a really beautiful thing.
That's all. And it goes back to your mission too, which is, it's something special. I mean, I'm kind of blown away about the prayer request. I've never heard of that before. And obviously it's something that's, and obviously inherent in Notre Dame, but to have that, on the same site where you guys are talking about, why isn't Notre Dame scoring more touchdowns? I mean, I think that's really special.
Well, hey, we have those. There are those conversations.
Oh no,
in there.
right.
Yes.
But it blew me away. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, you talk about something like that, and it's not. It goes beyond kind of what a fan is, right? I mean, you talk about family, really, and you talk about ending your mission, and really that's something special. It's like just a big ass family, which I think is great, man.
Mm-hmm.
Got another question, and sorry, we kind of went over an hour here, but I'm kind of pumped, man. This is awesome. One of the questions was, how do they become a member? Not part of the 30,000 guys fans you have, but becoming kind of an exclusive member.
You apply. You come through our main page. You put in a request.
And
that's on Facebook, right?
Yes, and we have a criteria of questions that you have to answer.
Okay.
But you have to answer everything. You have to show the initiative to show us that you're willing to put in the time to answer the questions. And then obviously we'll screen their page, the profile. And if everything looks good, we let them in. And then you're basically being watched. You're on trial. What are you going to do? What are you going to say? So, and we're all on top of it. I'm telling you, there's 25 people that go through every single post, every single comment. And if we don't catch it, somebody will. The people who have been there, like I said, I've been doing this for 6 years, and I have a lot of people who aren't actually officially part of the team, but they're part of Team Legion because they watch out for their family.
That is awesome, man. That's awesome. All right, well, we're going to wind down a little bit. We're with Chad, Sean, and Jason from the Legion of the Leprechaun. Sean, I'm going to ask you, and I'm kind of going to go around and kind of save Jason for last since he's kind of the founder. What does being part of Legion of the Leprechaun mean to you?
Well, when it first came about, when I first joined the page, it was really just, I saw that it was a group that had similar ideals. They had a different kind of concept, and family oriented, and they were serious about it. I mean, you kind of throw out stuff to test them, but you'd see other people would put something out there that was a little bit outside the lines, outside of their, what they accept on their page, and it would boom, you'd see it was removed, or with an explanation though. It was like, hey, This isn't what we're about. You know, it doesn't go along with our concept here. And it's not, no offense to you, it's not for everybody. Okay. So I mean, that stuck out to me. And after talking to Jason and Chad about how it started, how it developed, and the ideals that they embrace, I was like, you know, this is something I could really relate to. So, you know, in conversation, you know, I talk about my experiences with Notre Dame and my experiences going there, you know, with family, with my dad, my brother to games and stuff like that, and my wife. So putting all that together, like I said, it's hard to compartmentalize and capture it with just, you know, a sentence or two, but it's the realization that you have this family that embraces the same ideals and the same spirit and the same passion and the belief in God and everything that goes along with it in a group setting that's family oriented, and everyone looks out for one another. And that's such a deep underlying concept that gets overlooked in other sites. You know, as you said, the prayer request. It's not like, oh, you know, prayers, you know, and that's it. We follow up. We want to know what happened. We want to know how you're doing. How can we help out? You know, can we get you out to a tailgate? We'd love to meet your family. You know, can we do these things? It's these interpersonal connections, these relatable experiences and posts and feelings and ideas and thoughts that all come together in this melting pot of creativity, and it just explodes. I mean, the page blows up. People identify with it, and when you see all these people coming together in a show of support and solidarity, it's really an incredible thing, and you can't help but be inspired by it. All these people that have these struggles that we take for granted every day, and they're pushing through it because they believe, because they have this belief, because they've been to Our Lady, they've been to the grotto, they've seen prayer in action work, and seeing it all come together and just that solidarity, like I said, it's really awe-inspiring.
Nice. Chad.
Well, the greatest thing for me about Legion is the fact that I'm a part of something greater than myself. I get to witness people creating relationships with each other, having discussions with each other on a daily basis, and people being able to get along and be able to share the passion of Notre Dame without tearing each other down. That's the most important thing that I love the most, because again, I'm being part of something that's greater than myself. And that really does bring great passion to my life, just to be able to communicate with the rest of the team and just be part of something that I never thought that I would ever be part of ever in my life. So Legion, Jason, bro, I love you, man. This is really awesome. I can't thank you enough for bringing me on 5 years ago. And it's an amazing opportunity to put myself out there as well and share my passion with Legion with everybody else. We're trying to attain a giant family, and we're going to get there, and we're going to get our physical establishment. And when you walk into our physical establishment, it's going to be like yelling Norm on Cheers.
Nice. Nice. Jason, this is your baby, man. I mean, you obviously have a history here, but just, I mean, not that you can put it into words, but just kind of tell us what it means to you.
Well,
and what's it evolved to? What's it evolved to?
If you'll look at what brought it about, was a complete and total beatdown and full embarrassment. It was my escape at first, but when you honestly look at what was created based off of that, my separation from home and my identity of who I was, trying to recapture my identity, you know, some confidence, some camaraderie, some friendships and family. That's to me, that's the only way I can describe it. I can go on for 2 hours here if I wanted to talking about it, but basically what Legion, the most important thing to me about Legion is that every day when I wake up, it doesn't matter what happened the night before or the day before. All I got to do is open that cell phone and go to that members group, and I'll find inspiration from somebody. Somebody will inspire me every single day. And it's just the common belief. It's just the coming together of all these people. And that's what I need every day in my life. And if you join us, you'll realize immediately as soon as you join, we are a family.
That is awesome, man. Ladies and gentlemen, man, this was, I mean, honestly, we can go on for longer. You guys got to promise me you'll come back. Is that fair enough?
Promise.
All right, and then Ben,
Absolutely.
we have to have Ben too. We have to have another box for Ben too.
Yeah, Ben. Ben, I know
Ben.
you're watching you, but you're on next, brother.
Guys, this has been awesome, man. And I feel kind of like an honorary member. I feel like part of the family. This has been great.
Good.
You're talking about, I mean, obviously, I've had a different type of experience, but knowing that there's individuals out there that care about the school as much as I do, but have had all these different experiences around it. Not necessarily have gone there, but maybe have never even traveled to Notre Dame, but they're able to kind of see through you guys and what you've created, how much of a special place this is. And regardless of a score on a scoreboard, you know, the main thing is family. And I'm sure there's other groups out there for other schools, but I'm not sure how many schools have the type of following that Notre Dame has, with the care and respect that you guys show one another. So, I mean, obviously I'm a little partial. I'm going to say please join the Legion. Check out teespring.com for the shirts and Facebook for the flags. Hopefully I can get a double extra large t-shirt and double extra large flag. I will proudly represent it.
I'll send you a license plate too.
A license plate too. I'm sorry. All right, fair enough. And like I said, man, I have another forearm, so you know I might get it on there. Guys, this has been awesome, man. And I'm seriously, this is kind of exciting for me because I've kind of had a chance to kind of get a real understanding of kind of who our fans are, and kind of through you and what you guys have created, it just makes it more special. So I just want to thank you guys for this opportunity, and you guys got to promise that you'll come back.
Thank you for having.
Hopefully during the season.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Chris. I really appreciate it's been an honor, man.
All right, man.
Chris is a Midwest kid growing up. I loved watching you. I loved the story. I loved everything about what you brought to the team and everything like that. Your outreach work, the things you've done for children in the community and stuff like that. Those are kind of the stories that inspire. Those are the kind of stories we love to hear about from alumni, from people who've been there, from people who've been a part of the Notre Dame experience. Thanks for this opportunity.
Absolutely, man. Thank you guys very much. If you guys want to check this out, please go to my YouTube channel, Chris Zorich 50. Guys, it's been awesome. I look forward to hanging out again. More importantly, after all this COVID stuff gets done, I look forward to one of those tailgates, man. I want to be there and kind of experience everything. And I promise, Sean, I won't cook.
Get Tony there.
All right, I'll get
Mr. Rice.
Well, I would like to get on the grill, but I'm a little embarrassed because I don't want Sean to knock me over or anything like that.
Hey Chris, before we sign off on three, can we do a Go Irish together?
Oh, I'd love it, man. Go ahead.
All right. So on three, Go Irish, then we sign off, right?
We got it.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Go Irish!
All right, guys.